Hello and welcome to the Penalty Box Perspective podcast. My name is Nathaniel and I am joined today by my good friend Matt. How are you doing?
Yeah, good mate, thank you. Yeah, very good. How are you?
I'm very excited. We're going to talk some actual NHL action today and I can't wait to do so. It's been a good few games to come back to.
Yeah, for sure. Really good to be diving back into the NHL. We've had some already some great games, and I'm really looking forward to unpacking that all with you.
Yeah, you got some big news and stuff coming up, but no, shall we just get sort of straight into it, do you think?
Yeah, let's dive straight in, mate.
I think we'll start in the Central.
Yeah.
It's where both our teams, so let's see where both our teams are doing really in a minute. But we'll start off with the first overall team in the league and in this division. And of course, it is the Colorado Avalanche. They're first in our power rankings. They're on 87 points, a record of 39, 10 and 9 with a plus 75 differential. Played 3 games in this sort of half a week. They beat the Mammoth 4-2 in the first game back and then lost to the Minnesota Wild 5-2, but then beat the Blackhawks 3-1. So they played both of our teams, Matt. How do you think their week's gone?
Yeah, kind of to be expected, really. I think that we know at this point what this Colorado team is like. They're an absolute, juggernaut. They've scored the most goals in the league. They've conceded the least amount of goals in the league. They are going to drop the odd game now and then, but they've put themselves in such a good position that I think they are probably President's Trophy bound. And they've kind of picked up where they left off. There doesn't seem to be too much of a hangover from the likes of McKinnon and Makar and Taves. They've been right back out there, doing what they do and doing it well.
Yeah. So they've got Nature's McKinnon and Makar all chipping in with the points, more than a point per game on their return as expected. McKinnon is sort of trailing behind with David now in terms of point scoring. Obviously, spoiler alert already this early on. But yeah, 1-2, dropped one game against the Wilds, which I'm obviously happy about. But we'll touch on Minnesota shortly. But Wedgwood and Blackwood still doing all right. So I think they're still on cruising until the playoffs, really.
Yeah, just hope that they don't kind of fall into that sleepwalk that we often see teams do when they're that far ahead. But I don't have any concerns about this Colorado team. They're absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, kind of business as usual.
Okay. They got 4 games coming up next week. The away trip against the Kings, the Ducks, and then Dallas Stars. And then they play the Wild again at home on the 8th of March. So pretty tough week on the face of it. But I think they'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah. I think they'll be all right.
And we'll move on then into the second place team in this division, and I guess cementing their second place for now is the Dallas Stars. They moved up a spot compared to where they were the previous podcast. They're third in our power rankings, but they played 2 games this week and sort of won them both. So they've got a record of 36, 14 and 9 on a plus 37. But they're only 6 points behind Colorado now.
Yeah, that's it. They are kind of closing the gap a little bit. Yeah, I mean, Dallas and Minnesota have been jostling this second and third place for seemingly like 2/3 of the season at this point, and keeping it within a point or two. But yeah, they pick up a win against the Kraken 4-1, and then beat the Predators in overtime. So a nice little interdivisional win there. 3 goals and assists from Wyatt Johnston, Harley getting the assists as well. Duchesne and Robertson each with a goal and assist apiece, and Miro Heiskanen with a couple of assists as well. So they're getting scoring right up and down the lineup, and kind of just looking really good in doing so. Good couple of goaltending performances from DeSmith and Ottinger in those 2 games as well, both kind of 9.25 or better. But yeah, they're looking strong. I mean, they've got the Canucks coming up on the road next, which you'd like to think they will win. They've then got a really interesting game against the Colorado Avalanche at home on the 6th of March, and then they play the Blackhawks afterwards. So some more Central Division showdowns for them. But yeah, they're looking they're looking good, and if they can carry this kind of momentum into the playoffs, they'll be a force to be reckoned with. That's for sure.
Absolutely, and they come back without Mikko Rantanen. He's probably going to be out for another week or so. But obviously, this team's got quality up and down the lineup. They can deal with one or two players being out, even if it is their top scorer. So, yeah. I mean, this Central Division is pretty top heavy. The top three teams are pretty much playoff bound, so we're kind of there's no jeopardy in line here, but it's just good to keep on track of them.
Yeah, I would say so. We'll move into your Minnesota Wild then, Nathaniel.
Yeah, down a spot into third. We're on 80 points, so only still a point behind Dallas. Got a record of 35, 16 and 10 with a plus 25. I think this sort of epitomises why we put Dallas ahead of Minnesota in our power rankings. Obviously, Minnesota are fifth. They had 3 games instead of 2 this week, but they only won 1 and lost 2. We started out with a great win against Colorado Avalanche with an all-time performance by Gustafsson. And then we had a poor performance against Utah Mammoth in the second of a back-to-back away game. And then we lost last night to the St. Louis Blues, which was highly frustrating. So yeah, it just goes to show really that I don't think they're as good as the Dallas Stars, I don't think, at this point.
No, not quite. I think it's just a depth problem. I think for me, I think certainly in terms of their top end talent, I think they can go toe to toe with Dallas. Not a problem. You look at kind of Hughes and Heiskanen. I'd rather take Hughes. I'd probably rather take Kaprizov over probably any of Dallas's forwards, but then certainly as you kind of go down the lineup, it's Dallas do just have a bit more, a bit more there. But it was over those 3 games. I mean, Matt Boldy got 7 points. Kaprizov got 4 points. He is now. Did he overtake the franchise record last night? Or I saw the goal that tied it, but I know he is currently at least tied for the franchise record for goals scored by a Minnesota Wild player. So he's kind of cementing his legacy there. I don't think he's overtaken it yet. I think he's 1 away.
Yeah. I mean, it's only a matter of time, really, when he came out firing as fast as he did. We're only a young franchise, so records are going to be broken. Who knows? Baldy might end up actually taking that over one day. Who knows? But yeah, it was a poor game against Utah Mammoth, and we just couldn't seem to get the spark going against the Blues. It was 1-1 going into the last 5 minutes of the game, and it was fairly equal. And then Buchnevich scored, and then they got an empty net. So it's kind of you win some, you lose some. Again, I think this Wild team are going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But this is kind of the reason why I'm a bit pessimistic, because we can drop games like these against the Utah Mammoth and St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, and it doesn't get easier for them in their next 3 either. They've got the Lightning, the Golden Knights, and the Avalanche coming up again. So 3 really tough games. Although if that performance against the Avalanche is maybe something to go off, we have seen them perform really well against the big teams this year. So you never know; it might be beneficial for them. But it's going to be a tough stretch for them, that's for sure.
Yeah, 6 of our first 7 games back after the Olympics are against teams in the playoffs. Playoff positions. So a tough return back. But we'll see.
Yeah. Some more Central Division showdowns, I think, for the next team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The Utah Mammoth in 4th place, 13th in our power rankings. They're on 66 points, so 14 points behind Minnesota. So, which is why I'm pretty sure we'll get to the playoffs. The record of 31, 25 and 4 with a plus 23. As you alluded to, 3 games, Avalanche and Wild, Blackhawks, and a mixed bag in that.
Yeah, a loss 4-2 to the Avalanche before beating the Minnesota Wild in what was a good performance by them. Before then, facing the Chicago Blackhawks and getting shut out at home. 4-0. I know we'll cover that more when we come around to Chicago, but so very much up and down for them. It's really kind of difficult to talk about this team because they're so far behind the kind of playoff positions and have been kind of sat in fourth place in this division for, again, what kind of seems like forever. They've currently got a 4-point stretch over Nashville behind them. I don't really see them giving it up. I mean, they've got in the next four, they go on a road trip of the Capitals, the Flyers, the Blue Jackets, and the Blackhawks again. So could be kind of up and down again for them. I expect that they'll probably win a couple of those. I'll probably lose a couple of those. I kind of expect them to come out maybe with like a 500 winning percentage there. Still don't have a player over a point per game this season. They've got a couple of guys that are close, but that's it's been pretty reasonable for Utah. It's like I said, they're a weird team to discuss.
Yeah, and the fact that they're so far behind makes it feel like they're not sort of in there. But if they're in the Pacific, for example, they'd be in third position. And even Nashville, the team we talk about next, would be in with a chance of getting into the playoffs in that division. But obviously, the top three teams in the Central are just storming it. So it's kind of a bit tough to be best of the rest.
Yeah.
They're a good hockey team. They made some good progress. They've seemed to have got rid of the tarnish from the Coyotes era. So all foot forward, really, for this team, I think.
Definitely.
We'll go into the fifth team, the Nashville Predators. 62 points, as you say, 4 points behind. They're 26th in our power rankings. We might have maybe put them a bit too low, we'll see. But a record of 27, 24, and 8. And then you see the results and the minus 28 goal differential, and you think that might be why. But they played 2 games on their return. They did beat your Blackhawks 4-2 and then lost in overtime to the Dallas Stars. So, that being said, a fairly good week for them, really.
Yeah, 3 points from 4 taken. Obviously, only 2 games played. A couple of goals from Stamkos. Goal and assist from Wood as well. They kind of beat a Blackhawks team who were kind of down on their confidence, and then took the Stars right the way through to overtime. But again, they've been kind of so up and down this season. They've been really streaky, really patchy. They've kind of figured it out a bit more as the season's gone on, but they've kind of started quite poorly, and it's going to kind of end up balancing out for them with them sort of being somewhere around the middle. Obviously, we await to see if there's going to be any guys moved at the trade deadline. I think that's going to be a really big indicator, I think, for this Nashville team as to where they think that they're going. And where they view themselves as a franchise, if they see them in their kind of window of contention or not. Obviously, they took a massive swing on a lot of those free agents, a couple of years back. So just depends if they decide that they're going to, they think they're going to try and keep competing, or whether they're going to try and do a New York Rangers style retool on the fly. But they've got a bit of a flip-flop home away schedule coming up. They've got the Red Wings, then the Blue Jackets, then the Bruins and the Sabres. So some fairly tricky games coming up for them there. But certainly some a couple of games in there which I think that they could win. So similarly to Utah, I think that they'll pick up some points this week. I'm just not quite sure where they're going to come from.
Yeah, had a bit of a strange team, and on that, if they're selling or retooling, as they want to say, nonsense. They still haven't announced a new sort of general manager yet. Obviously, the existing one's still there, but it's just retiring or whatever, and they're going to do a handover. So I don't think this will be that big decisions being made. Because ultimately the staff that are there now aren't going to be the ones who take it on moving forward, so they might just leave it, really.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. But we'll move on to the 6th place team in this division. It's the upper spot. It's the Winnipeg Jets. The 28th in our power rankings. They got a record of 23, 26 and 10 on a minus 16 goal differential. And they just absolutely love playing hockey, this team this week. They've had 3 games. 3 games went to overtime. They beat the Canucks 3-2 and then lost to the Ducks 5-4 and the Sharks 2-1. So that sort of Western Western away trip that teams tend to go on. But yeah, they've picked up sort of 4 points out of 6.
Yeah, they've done okay. I think certainly as far as Winnipeg's as far as their season's gone, I think they would probably take this as a good week. Kyle Connor getting a couple of goals and assists, Perfetti getting a goal and a couple of assists as well. It's nice just to see someone else kind of on the scoring charts. I mean, this has been the problem for Winnipeg all season, as we've outlined time and time again. You've got Scheifele, you've got Connor, Morrissey, Velarde. It's just they're just, and then that's it. Morrissey's their 4th highest scorer on 42 points, and it drops massively afterwards to Alexei Afalo, who's at 22 points on the season. So they are very kind of reliant on that scoring. It's been a reasonable week, I suppose, for the Winnipeg Jets. They return home for the next 3. They've got the Blackhawks, the Lightning, and the Canucks. So a really, really good team either side of 2 teams who are not as great. So again, we'll see how that shakes out for them. I don't think anyone in Winnipeg's going to be panicking about the long-term future of this organisation. I think it's just been a weird season. I think it's maybe not been the season, obviously, that they wanted, obviously off the back of last year's President's Trophy. But I don't see any world where they decide that they're going to go into like fire sale mode or anything like that. I just don't see them being. I think they're a bit smarter than that, and they'll kind of run it back next season. If next season ends up being like this one, that may change things. But I don't think that they'll be hitting the panic button just yet.
Yeah, well, all their money are in obviously in the big players, and all the big players are performing well. Hellebuck, Scheifele, Connor, Morrissey, they're all doing great. So the problem with this team is all the squad players, as it were, not building up a team. And they're things that you can easily make amendments in off-season. A lot of these players will be on short-term contracts. You pick up a lot of different free agents, or you adapt to the needs of the players that you've got, etc. So minor adjustments, which are hard to do in the fast-paced nature of the season. So it's one of them where I think they can make a few adjustments. Things like you're looking at, I guess, Nashville as an example. And Nashville obviously having a better season, but they've got a lot of big-ticket players all on decent-ish, long, expensive contracts who are not always performing to the standard they expect them to perform at. And that's a bigger issue because all your money is tied up in the players who aren't performing, whereas for Winnipeg, they are. So it's that's why I'm not too concerned either for this team. They're just having a poor season.
Yeah, I'd completely agree.
We'll move on then to your team, the Chicago Blackhawks, down the spot to 7th, 27th in our power rankings. They're sat on 55 points with a record of 23, 28, and 9 on a minus 31. Now, this team, it's very young, up and coming, and they've had a very strange week.
Yeah, they have. And I know that Jeff Blashill, the coach, has kind of mentioned that, a lot of the guys are kind of suffering with some confidence issues and things like that, kind of with the loss to Nashville and to Colorado as well. But I don't know, man. Like you just had kind of 3 weeks off, with the Olympic break. I kind of feel like that you should be coming back into the season kind of refreshed and rejuvenated. And they took the lead in both those games against Nashville and Colorado, but then just fell away. Obviously, they then followed that up with, a 4-0 victory against Utah, which is, fantastic. Absolutely great. Teuvo Teravainen with a pair of goals. Arvid Soderblom getting his first career shutout, which, is great for him. They are going to be moving a couple of guys around the trade deadline. I think Connor Murphy and Jason Dickinson, I think, are 2 for sure who will be on their way. I don't really see them moving anyone else other than potentially maybe Ilya Mikheyev. But they're going to get a couple of guys arriving. Anton Frondel, I think, will probably arrive maybe at the back end of this season. If not, he'll be straight in from the jump next year. And Roman Kantsarov as well, coming from the KHL in Russia, and he's had an absolutely terrific season. So there's been some really nice kind of great things happening away from the Blackhawks with their prospects and picks and everything. Just kind of need to see some of these prospects that were picked in Kyle Davidson's first draft kind of start to come through and just kind of start producing at the NHL level. Frank Nazar had a really great start to the season, got injured, and he's been, kind of struggling a little bit. I think teams are a bit more savvy and aware of him now than maybe they were before. Kevin Korchinski again was an 8th overall pick and can't seem to hold down minutes in Chicago at the moment. So, it's time will tell. I'm still very happy with the position that the rebuild's in. I think they maybe do need to go out and add some help this summer. But they'll get another decent pick this year, that's for sure. With their pick and potentially also with Florida's pick as well, depending where that lands. And they'll go again next season. And yeah, I'm excited for when they do.
Yeah, I think this team needs more than anything. They've got plenty of the prospects coming up. They have got some veterans, but I don't think those veterans are the right kind of veterans to really help the team push along. They haven't got players to really rely on, if that makes sense.
There isn't those veterans you can default to when the young guys aren't, when it's not happening for them. They brought in like Andrei Burakovsky, who, 2-time Stanley Cup winner, and, he came in for very little, really. And, started the season really well, but I think he's got, maybe 1 assist in his last 15 or 16 games, yet continues to be deployed out on the top line every single night. And that doesn't really work for me. I think you've got to give someone else a go, move him down the lineup a little bit. Teuvo Teravainen obviously got a couple of goals last night, but is streaky at best. I think they just need some quality kind of reinforcements, I think, to help these young players thrive and take a little bit of pressure off them as well.
Yeah. Right. We'll move on then into the last place team in this division. 30th in our power rankings, 49 points, St. Louis Blues. 22, 29 and 9 with a minus 52 goal differential. Horrendous team, but they've actually pulled out 2 great wins this week and then losing the other one. So they beat the Kraken 5-1, they beat Minnesota 3-1. Fuck. And then lost to the Devils 3-1.
Yeah, they've picked up a couple of wins. Teams will pick up wins. No team's going to go 0-82 over the course of a year. As much fun as it would be to watch St. Louis do that. But yeah, look, they're not a great team. It does kind of seem as though they are a team that are going to go into fire sale mode. I think we are probably going to see a lot of guys moved out of there. But yeah, they're just not great. They're not great at all. And I think they maybe need to hit the reset button a little bit and try and get some high quality young players in there. Obviously, they got Dalibor Dvorsky, who had a great Olympics. I think they just need to bring in some more young players, draft some guys in. They just suck. They're just fucking terrible.
I really did not expect it this year with Jim Montgomery. I thought they would have cracked on, but they haven't.
No.
And they crack on further with the Kraken in the next game before going on to play the Sharks and the Ducks in that sort of away trip on the West Coast again.
Yeah.
Stars of the week. Stars of the week. Feel the power. Feel the beat.
Oh, I'm feeling that.
Yeah.
That hit So good. So we have been working tirelessly to bring stuff like that to you. But yes, if you couldn't tell the lyrics, we're now going to touch on our Stones of the Week, which I'm very happily going to award to Gustafsson from the Minnesota Wild. I don't know whether you caught any of his display against the Colorado Avalanche, but he was an absolute machine.
He was, yeah, he was an absolute beast, was that the game where he lost his lunch, or?
Yes, and this here implies the Stones of the Week, because in like the last minute of the game or whatever, you just see him skating towards the bench and Wallstead going in, and you're just like, why didn't they make a goaltend change? Like, they've been doing all right. And then the clip started appearing on social media, and you didn't really capture it on the broadcast, but there's like a specific camera for Colorado which sort of looks over the top of the goal, and you just see him like duck to the left, go up, and then point at the bench and say he needs to go off, and he just skates off, and then you just see a pile of vomit on the ice.
Yeah,
absolutely disgusting.
I think he took a puck off the Stones. I think. Yeah. It certainly looked that way, or certainly just wasn't. I don't know whether it be the altitude in Colorado or something, but yeah, not feeling great. But then yeah, just seeing like the slow-mo of like it actually happening, and just throwing up all over his mask, all down his jersey, like he owes the. I think he owes the equipment guy like a steak dinner or something for having to, for having to deal with that shit. But yeah, it was nasty. But yeah, no, he he had a great performance. He had an absolutely terrific performance. So yeah, well done. Well done, Philip Gustafsson, for displaying a gargantuan level of Stones there. And you are our Stones of the Week.
Good lad. Right. We will touch on. I think we'll go into the Metro.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously, the first team in this division is still the Carolina Hurricanes. They're fourth in our power rankings and are on 82 points, record of 38, 15, and 6 on a plus 38. And they played 2 games this week, won them both against decent Atlantic teams. The Tampa Bay Lightning, they beat 5-4, and the Detroit Red Wings, they beat 5-2. So, good week for Carolina.
Yeah, a couple of wins against some great teams. Taylor Hall going off this week, 2 goals, 3 assists. Just getting scoring right the way through. So in terms of their guys that were like point per game, okay, I mean, I know they only played 2 games, but you've got Hall, Gostisbehere, Jarvis, Blake, Aho, Stankoven and Svechnikov all contributing across 2 games, and just they've been absolutely terrific. Another win for Mr. Bussy. Against the Tampa Bay Lightning, phenomenal, and then Freddie Anderson as well, putting up a great every time for Brandon Bussy, and then Freddie Anderson as well, putting in a great performance against Detroit as well. They now go on to a little bit of a road trip. They've got the Kraken, the Canucks, the Oilers, and the Flames. So again, that game will be tricky against Edmonton, but they've got some certainly some winnable games there, and I don't see anyone dethroning them off the top of this division now.
No, they're just a very good, solid team. When we touched about this in the power rankings, they don't have many weaknesses other than maybe a top like star player, but that can sometimes even come with a distraction. So, good team. See you in the playoffs. Now, the second place team in this division, sort of the joint with the third place team, but due to games played, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the team in second, the 12th in our power rankings, sat on 75 points, record of 31, 15, and 13, or plus 30. And I mean, they've had a bit of a weird week as well, winning 2 games really comfortably and then losing a game they should have won.
Yeah. Yeah, great victories against the Devils and the Golden Knights, especially shutting them out 5-0 last night was terrific performance from them. Seelov's getting the shutout there, and then the shootout loss to the Rangers is a disappointing one. But I think you'd probably take the Rangers loss with the Vegas win. But who'd have thought with this Pittsburgh team? Honestly, they're doing really really well, playing some great hockey. Malkin and Carlson all chipping in with the points, and Rust and Mantha kind of contributing as well. And they've been great. All the while, Kyle Dubas is kind of stacking his draft assets and managing this team really well. So I think there should be a fair amount of credit, I think, that goes to Kyle Dubas in the way that he's kind of come in and started managing this team. I'm just kind of super impressed with them, really, and kind of seeing how they're going to be able to, build on the fly and kind of get themselves back to a window of contention. They've got the Bruins on the road coming up before they return home to face the Sabres, the Flyers, and the Bruins again. I think this team could be playoff bound.
I certainly think so. I mean, the game against the Rangers were one of the Saturday premiere games in the UK. So it was playing on ITV4. Again, a game involving the Rangers in that platform, is that really the way to go? But it was fireworks to start with that game. They went one up in like the first minute or so, and then they scored a second, and which was ruled out. I don't necessarily believe it should have been, but that's what shifted the momentum. Like the Penguins were flying and should have easily won that game massively, and then just came back to lose against the Rangers.
Yeah, definitely.
But the point with your general manager, we talked about it with Brandon Bussey choosing where to go and things like that. And there are just some teams who are better run than others. And Pittsburgh certainly be to be the one, it's the same in the NFL as well with the Steelers. Pittsburgh just seems to be a team you can trust. They picked up Mantha in free agency, and he's done really well. They're managing the roster really well, collecting draft picks while still performing well. So it's just, there's a lot of teams out there who wish they had the trajectory of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've done all of this week, still without Sidney Crosby. So, massive hats off to Pittsburgh there. Tip of the hat there to them. And we'll see how they finish out the season. Lovely stuff.
Third place team also on 75 points. They're 10th in our power rankings, so we had them higher than the Penguins. The New York Islanders, record of 35, 21 and 5 on a plus 10. They played 3 games and won all 3. Though, that being said, 2 of them came in overtime, and they've been conceded almost as many goals as they've been scoring.
Yeah. Yeah, but they've got themselves over the line, and they won 2 of those games in overtime, but against some quite good opposition. The Canadiens have been a good team all year, and the Blue Jackets have certainly had a resurgence since their coaching change. So good to take those wins, and then beating the Florida Panthers as well. So 4-3, 4-3, and 5-4, keeping it pretty fucking close, but getting it over the line, getting the points in there. Matthew Schaefer, again, 3 games played, 4 goals and an assist. He's an absolute star. Absolutely love watching this kid play. He's the one who I would want to win the Calder this year. I just think he just deserves it massively, man. He's so good.
He is, and he's second on this New York Islanders team in scoring. He hasn't missed a game. He's the first rookie to get 20 goals this year as a defender. He's reckoning the assists. It's not like he's conceding on the back end either. He's sat on the plus 14, plus minus. He's playing sort of first line minutes. He is, obviously, as you'd expect from a first overall pick, he is just a player that's going to be crucial for this team moving forward for years and years and years. It's a home run pick. Great young player.
Yeah, and thank God that the Islanders managed to jump 9 spots or whatever it was. I think they went from 10 to 1, I think, in the lottery standings, which
Yeah.
I know is the. I know that people don't necessarily like that aspect with the with the draft lottery, but it does create for interesting storylines like this, and they put their trust in Schaefer, obviously, who did have he had a big injury last year that kept him out of most of his draft year, but yeah, he's just been phenomenal.
Yeah, the kid's got talent,
For
and
sure.
he's going to be a face of this league. And it's nice to talk about a defender in this way because a lot of focus might be on the Bedard, Celebrini,
Mm.
Misa, all the forward players, etc. So it's
Yeah.
good to see a defender come in, especially a scoring defender.
Yeah, I think him
Um,
and Lane Hudson, I think, are going to be holding down the defensive face of the league. I think for a long time. And yeah, really, really, really great to see.
yeah. And I'm just now able, while I'm preparing for these podcasts, able to spell his name right first time every time. The A's and E's and the C's and the H's and
All over the place.
they mess me up. But I like this Islanders team. It's going to be fresh this year in the playoffs with sort of the Islanders and probably Pittsburgh as well. I know Penguins in the playoffs is not necessarily fresh, but it's certainly surprising depending where we were at the start of the year. So
Yeah,
it's nice.
yeah, definitely, 100%.
So fourth spot in this division, upper spot is the Washington Capitals, the 14th team in our power rankings. They got a record of 31, 24, and 7 with a plus 11 plus minus, and they are sat on 69 points.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Very nice. What do you think to their week?
Yeah, 2 wins and a loss. Beating the Flyers, beating the Golden Knights, losing to the Habs on the road. Yeah, it's kind of tricky with this team. They're now 6 points back from the other two, from Pittsburgh and from the Islanders. So I think that's quite a lot of space to make up between now and the end of the season. I think it's going to require one of those aforementioned teams to kind of fall apart a little bit, and also require the Capitals to capitalize on those. Don't you dare play that drum fill. But yeah, Protus with a good week. Dubois and Sandine as well, all at a point per game. Logan Thompson in the 2 wins that he started in, 923 and a 958 save percentage. So really good performances from him. They've got the Mammoth coming up at home before they face the Bruins on the road, and then the Flames at home. So yeah, they're another team who they don't necessarily have like a bona fide star. I mean, yes, okay, they've got Ovechkin, but the guy's like 40. Like, it's just like let the man live. But they do have kind of
Oh, they
depth
letting him
scoring.
live.
Yeah, just they've got depth scoring up and down the lineup. And they're a reasonable kind of top end of the middle NHL team right now.
Yeah. I do wonder how Canada would have done if they played Thompson instead of Bennington. I don't think necessarily Bennington played bad in the Olympics necessarily. Didn't have massive howlers, but Thompson's have come out now and is absolutely stood by the Capitals, and so are doing really well for them this year. And if the Capitals do make the playoffs, it's probably off the back of Thompson, whereas look at the Blues and Bennington. So it does raise the question there.
Certainly does.
And in terms of Ovechkin, I mean, you're looking at the other top scorers, Wilson, Chickering, Strome, Carlson, they're all like getting in there with a decent amount of points, and they're all on plus 20s or plus 11s, plus minuses. And then you've got Ovechkin, who is leading this team with 50 points in 62 games, but is sat on a -1.
Yeah.
So I do wonder whether he's kind of bog lining, as it were, goal hanging. He has no interest in playing defense whatsoever.
None at all. And that's why he's the leading NHL goal scorer of all time.
Right, we'll move on into the 5th place team in this division. Down a spot, it's the Columbus Blue Jackets. The 22nd in our power rankings, they're set on 66 points. So there's quite a gap in terms of power rankings between this team and say the Capitals, but only sort of 3 points difference in the league. And I think that comes off the basis of how has their coaching change actually impacted them more than just like immediate change, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they've certainly been, they've certainly been much improved. And like I said, going into the Olympic break, they were on a great. I think they won 7 in a row. Obviously, it hasn't been quite that since they've come back. They've had a couple of tricky games though to navigate through that. But Fantilli with 2 goals and assists, Marchment with a goal and 2 assists, Zach Werenski again with 3 assists. He's on 65 points now in 54 games this year. That guy's just unbelievable for me. Made the just to sidetrack to the Olympics for 15 seconds. That Jack Hughes winning goal doesn't happen without the unreal defensive play from Zach Werenski to get that started, and that will be the part that's forgotten when we're talking about this years down the line. But that play doesn't happen without Werenski. So guy's an absolute star. I love him. For me, he's the I say this most weeks, he's the best defenseman in the NHL that isn't named Quinn Hughes or Cale Makar.
At what point do we start just saying, instead of the big 2 and then Werenski, when do we start saying the big 3?
Yeah, exactly. I think it probably when Columbus, if they kind of start getting back into some kind of league-wide relevance, if they can get themselves back in the playoff hunt and push themselves more into the public eye, I think that, certainly, I was going to say public exposure there. That is not the right term. Keep it in your trousers, Zach. But national focus will generate interest in that regard. So so I think that if they can get themselves back into the playoffs, I think they'll start talking them up a lot more. But they've got a super busy schedule coming up. 5 games on the slate over the next week. They've got the Rangers on the road, and then they play the Predators, the Panthers, the Mammoth, and the Kings. So I think there's definitely some games in there that they can win and maybe claw some positioning back on the Caps. I think it's going to take something pretty special for this team to make the playoffs at this point. They're 9 points back from the second and third spot, but they'll certainly try and finish the season with a flourish and just see as well as they can push it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll move on then to the 6th team in this division. It's the Philadelphia Flyers. The 19th in our power ranking, 65 points. Record of 27, 21, and 11 on a minus 12. I see your face wincing when I bring up the Flyers. What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I don't know. Having them power ranked at 19 now kind of seems a bit, I don't know, like they're just not particularly inspiring. I don't think. I mean, Travis Konechny's a good player, and Trevor Zegras is, he's had a great. He's hit the 50-point mark. He's doing great. They're just a frustrating team, and we went over this in our power rankings episode, and kind of the Michkov situation, and they're inconsistent, and their goaltending is like Vladar's pretty good. Urson, okay, I know he got the OT win against the Rangers, but Urson's been kind of pretty poor most of the year. I mean, .859 save percentage on the season just isn't great. They're in that mid-table purgatory, aren't they? I think they're not going anywhere in a hurry. I don't think of this team. They don't have any kind of absolute thriving youngsters on the way, and their veteran players are good but not great, and that kind of lands you slap bang in that area. And I think that's kind of where they're going to be. I think a lot of how they do hinges on their resolution of the Michkov situation. If they decide that they're going to keep sort of lambasting him week in, week out, I don't know. But yeah, they're a bit of a mystery for me.
Yeah, they're a bit. I mean, they should be proud of the fact that they were so chaotic. They were always in the news last year, and in such quick snap of the fingers, and they now become sort of a nothing team. They're just there. They're stocking fillers. They're not either at the top end competing for a playoff spot, and neither are they so bad that we're talking about them in terms of how horrendous they are. They keep threatening to do one of those things. The thing is, they're threatening to go to the latter and to come to the bottom in terms of the Mishkov situation, everything like that. So it's a positive trend up for the Flyers, which is why I think we sort of felt of them so good because they've kind of turned it around. But likewise, that there's nothing much there to chew on, really.
No, they are the can of Lynx Africa that comes in the stocking. It has a use. It serves a purpose. I'm sure as hell not excited about it though. And for anyone
they're good in a
listening,
pinch.
yeah. Good in an
Maybe
emergency situation. For any North American listeners there, that would be Axe body spray to you guys. For whatever reason, it's called Lynx over here, and it is a running joke of the Lynx Africa Christmas presents year in year out. So, yeah.
There was a news article probably 6 months ago how they're stopping making Lynx Africa. And I think there was a bit of an uproar, and it might have been a government petition created, I think.
Bring it back.
I mean, what else are we going to get that family member we don't really know or like?
It's gonna have to go back. We're gonna have to roll back the years and go back to the Lynx chocolate, the Dark Temptation.
Oh, that sounds like high school changing rooms.
It certainly is. Yeah, that is the changing rooms before PE. That is fucking hell. That was a core memory unlocked there. Let's move into 7th place before we derail this with the Lynx Axe side train.
Yeah. No, we spoke about the New Jersey Devils as we did every team on our Power Rankings episode. And I kind of mentioned how every game is sort of like a game 7. I'm going to rephrase or correct myself here. This team's done. They're 7th in the division. They're on 60 points. Record of 29, 29 and 2 on a minus 31. I need to stop kidding myself that this team is a good team but going through a bit of a bad spell. They've got all the signs of a fragile, poorly created team for respects. And as we talked about earlier about how like the Winnipeg Jets, their star players are performing. It's just a sort of back-end roster. Whereas I think this team, it's arguably said that even the star players aren't performing necessarily like star players. They had 3 games this week. They lost 2 and won 1.
Yeah, I mean we saw Jack Hughes get 3 assists on the week. He was the only guy at a point per game, and I agree. And I think that they're a team where there is going to be some movement. I've heard Douglas Hamilton's name being mentioned. I refuse to call him Dougie for a man of his age. Like no, Doug Hamilton, and the fact that he could be on the move, but that's a tricky contract to move. He's got, he's got a no trade clause, that certainly I think he's got like a 28 team no trade clause or something. So he's either going to have to give them a list of teams who he's happy to go to, or they're going to have to find one of those ones that he's content going to. He's got a lot of money, still quite a few years, left on that deal. So, that's going to be a tricky one to move for them if they are going to do it. But, I think maybe there was a few people thinking, Jack Hughes is going to come back. Obviously, he's the hero. He's, they're going to build a statue of him outside the White House and all that sort of thing. But unfortunately, one man cannot carry a single team. Just ask Connor Bedard. Now, they've got the Panthers, the Maple Leafs, the Rangers coming up before they play the Red Wings. So they've got 3 games against some teams in a bit of a similar situation to them in terms of where they're positioned and how they're set up. Go and show us something over this next week. Go and stamp your authority on some of these teams Show us that you're not the washed entity that we all think you are. And we'll come back next week and talk about it in a slightly more glowing fashion. But not,
No,
yeah.
I'm done. I'm done with this team now. I really like them. I mean, out of the three sort of New York, New Jersey area teams, the Devils were always kind of like my favourites. But
Mhm.
and we've said how they're good, they can sparkle, but they're very fragile.
Mm.
And they've just shown that they're falling apart. They're not making the right decisions. Markstrom's actually doing all right this week, but other than that, it's just I'm done. I've given up hope now. They're out of the playoffs. They're not going to be a wild card team. They're irrelevant.
Yeah. And my favourite part of that little micro rant was you said that the three teams in the New York area and like just completely acknowledging that Buffalo don't exist.
Oh, they're all wet, and we're in the Western New York. Oh, come on. Okay, you're in New York State.
Yeah.
But when you think of the New York teams, you're not thinking of like Madison Square Gardens, New York rivalry between the Rangers and the Buffalo Sabres. No, you're not.
No, it's just
Like,
it's just a big snowy mess.
Yeah, Buffalo, like their rivals are like the Canadian teams up in that area and sort of the Midwest. Like it's not the same. And obviously, I'm sat here in England making these assumptions about the geography in America, so I might be completely wrong. But from an outsider's perspective, that's what I think.
Yeah, and well, there's at least the Devils need not fear because there is a team in the New York, New Jersey area who is shitter than they are, and they are our 8th place team, Nathaniel.
Yeah, the New York Rangers. People think New Jersey Devils are really far behind. Then there's the Rangers. The retooling Rangers, 53 points. 23, 29 and 7 record and a minus 29. I mean, they lost to the Flyers in overtime and then beat the Penguins in that shootout this week. But
yeah, they are retooling, but the tools that they are is when you get one of those really small screwdriver sets from like a Christmas cracker, that you know is just it's not screwing shit. Like there's no chance. Yeah, they're like a spirit level that's like run out of bubbles. Yeah, they're retooling, but Christ alive, man. So you expect them to be bad, of course you do. But they came away with 3 points from 4, so make of that what you will. Taylor Radish getting a goal and an assist there. Vincent Trocheck, future Minnesota Wild Vincent Trocheck, getting 2 assists there. Really rising his stock value, and I think for a team like Minnesota, showing that he really is the A1 center that they are so badly missing.
It's good on face-offs. That's about it.
Yeah.
They've I mean, it's 2 games, 3 points out of 4, but they're still 7 points behind the 7th place team in this division.
Yeah.
It's not a retool, it's rebuild. You don't retool and get rid of your best player in Panarin. You rebuild. So the sooner they face the facts, the better, really. I've got no time for franchises who think they're better than they are.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. I think that was a perfect way to round off this division.
Cheeks of the week. Cheeks of the week.
And
Another
that
masterpiece.
sound, god damn, I'm happy with that.
Created by Matt. What a sound that you did there. So yeah, the cheeks of the week are this week the Los Angeles Kings. Now, if you weren't already aware, there's been a coaching change. Out the blue, surprising. We'll cover the teams week in big fashion here in due course. But the Los Angeles Kings have moved on from Jim Hillier after a shutout victory And after a few weeks, not even a week into a team playing with Artemi Panarin in their team, what are they doing, Matt?
Beats me, honestly. They've had 3 weeks to make this decision. That's kind of my sticking point on all of this. Is there was clearly, you don't just sack a coach out of thin air unless something absolutely horrific has happened, kind of probably away from hockey, which, as it stands at the moment, I have no reason to believe that's happened. So you would think that a coaching change has been on their mind for the last, for a little while now. Why wait until you've just had a 3-week break with your old coach, kind of working their way through the team and trying to kind of get everything reset for this big push? You come out, you get a shutout victory, and then you sack him anyway. It just makes absolutely no sense. You've traded for Panarin, who is going to breathe a bit of life into that LA team, and then now he's got to do it all now with a new coach, who is Mr. Dennis Joseph Smith, Mr. DJ Smith, who has a little
DJ.
who has a brilliant coaching resume, I think. I say that with the utmost sarcasm.
Last head coach, the Ottawa Senators, didn't finish above the 6th place in like 5 years and was sacked. It's ridiculous for me. Jim Healy, they made the playoffs both years that he was the head coach. He was likely probably going to get them into the playoffs this year. And I don't see the necessity to do this right now.
No. Give it till the end of the season. Unless they think they're going to get some sort of new coach bump. Maybe they've looked at what Columbus have done and thought maybe this is the push that we're going to need to get us into the into the playoffs. But even then, you then got a coach with no playoff experience, and thanks to Wikipedia telling me 45 NHL games to his name in DJ Smith, for a 41st overall pick in the 1995 draft. Somewhat of a bust, you might say. But you get to the playoffs and it's like, now what? We've got a guy who's got no background in this whatsoever. I don't know. Just makes no sense to me, mate. Absolutely none at all.
Yeah. So it's absolute cheeks. I mean, we may be proved wrong. He may be the best head coach, and he might be in the Ottawa Senators. That was hopeless for different reasons. But if you got it, I think he got it. I don't think he's got it. I don't think the Kings have got it, and they're now jeopardising my prediction that they're going to get into the playoffs if they beat the St. Louis Blues. And for them, I can't forgive them.
No. Right, where to next, Nathaniel?
Yeah, we'll continue the pile on. I think we'll go through the Pacific Division while we're touching on the Kings. This is the worst division in hockey this year.
Absolute buns.
First place, absolute buns. The first place is Vegas Golden Knights, 70 points. As you've been keeping track, any number of teams from the other two divisions we've just talked about would be leading this division. But they're 6th in our power rankings because we think that they're good. But the record of 28, 18 and 14 may suggest otherwise. And they played 3 games since they're back, winning 1 and losing 2.
Yeah, nice kind of 6-4 victory against the Kings to kick things off, and then it all kind of fell apart. 3-2 loss to the Caps, 5-0 loss to the Penguins. Goaltending. Aiden Hill coming out with an absolutely scorching .772 save percentage in that game against the Penguins. I don't know. I mean, I don't understand how they've acquired the points to be on top of this division. They've got 28 wins this year, which is just we're 61 games into the season, give or take, and they've got 28 wins. okay, they've picked up 14 losers points from from overtime and shootout losses, which really goes to show the importance of those, I suppose, and is also, I think, another reason why a lot of people don't like the losers point in the NHL, and why maybe it should go to 3 points for a regulation win, and then I don't know. That is definitely a conversation for another day, though, with the point structure in the NHL. But yeah, this team is kind of, they are what they are. They'll probably win this. They'll probably win this division. They'll probably make a splash at the trade deadline, and they'll probably win a round of playoff hockey and then get eliminated in the second round.
Yeah, sounds about right. Goaltending letting them down big time. They can't seem to get it right no matter what they do there. And the only other thing of note really is, and you would not be surprised by this, Mark Stone has got injured in the Penguins game.
Yeah.
Right before the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the only difference with that now is that if they want to relieve his salary cap, they have to declare him out for the playoffs as well. Which was a good change, because it stops Vegas doing what Vegas have done for the last, well, pretty much their entire existence as a team, is writing Mark Stone off with 20 games to go, relieving his cap, getting someone in, bringing Mark Stone back miraculously in the first round of the playoffs, and going on a tear. So, they're going to have to make a decision. If they want Mark Stone, they're going to have to just suck it up for now. If they think that he's not going to be ready to go come playoff time, they're going to have to write him off. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Christ.
Yeah. They've got games coming up against the Sabres and the Red Wings away, and then play the Wild and the Oilers at home the week coming up. So I think by courteousness of being in this horrendous division, they're going to get into the playoffs, and then anything can happen.
Yes. However, they are only leading the division by a single point.
Yes. And who would have thought it? Our 15th power ranked team, the Anaheim Ducks, up 2 points, also on 69 points. With a record of 33, 23 and 3 on a -7. Yes, this team, these Ducks can concede, but they can also score goals.
Yeah. Yes, they can. 3 games, 3 wins, and a win in every single way. So they beat the Oilers in regulation 6-5, beat the Jets in overtime 5-4, and beat the Flames in a shootout 3-2. So yeah, 3 games, 3 wins. Leo Carlsson with 5 points in those 3 games. Beckett Seneca as well, who's kind of in that dark horse Calder conversation. Cutter Gauthier with 3 goals. Chris Kreider with 3 points. Lacombe with 3 points. Playing really well. And I hope for the NHL neutral's sake, if Anaheim are able to go on a late storm and take this division out of the hands of the Vegas Golden Knights, I would love to see it.
And I'm with you every step of the way there. I hope they do it. I'll be keeping my eyes peeled on it. Quite oftentimes the day after the games happen, because they always play at 3 a.m. this team. But yeah, really exciting. And they got games against the Avalanche, Islanders, the Canadiens, and the Blues coming up, all at home. So 7-game home stretch after the Olympic break.
Yeah, some difficult ones in there. So with the Avalanche, the Islanders, the Habs, but I believe in this Anaheim team. I'm really, really hoping that we can.
Yeah. Now down the spot in third is the Edmonton Oilers, the 7th in our power rankings, 66 points, 29, 24 and 8 record on a +9. Again, another team where goaltending is an issue, but unlike the Vegas Golden Knights, they've got offense for days.
Yeah, and Tristan Jarry is not very good. He's not very good at all. who got pulled from the game against the Ducks. I mean, they lost 6-5 against the Ducks, then beat the Kings 8-1, and then lost to the San Jose Sharks 5-4. So that's 17 goals scored in 3 games, which is just shy of 6 goals a game. Yet they come away with a single win. McDavid is an absolute beast. He's at 100. They are at 100. He is at 103 points on the season, and playing like an absolute man possessed at the moment. But there's still like, okay, Evan Bouchard, 2 goals, 4 assists. That's great. Bouchard has 69 points in 61 games, but every single fucking time.
Children.
He cannot defend. He cannot play him on the wing or something. I don't know. Just stop making him defend. Yeah. Oh God. Like I don't know. He is like one of the most statistically misleading players in the NHL for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially on the contract front.
Oh yeah, big time. But yeah, there's kind of a bit of that drop off really. Again, as we've seen with a couple of teams, but you've got McDavid on 103 points, you've got Draisaitl on 85, Bouchard on the amount of points that we mentioned with him before, and then after that it drops to Nugent Hopkins with 47 points, and then Zach Hyman with 40 points, albeit he's got that in 42 games. So yeah, the depth scoring again problematic, the goaltending problematic. Let's just keep hoping Connor McDavid does what he does and, drags them through to the playoffs, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, it's just crazy. The amount of points generated on this team. They should be well clear. Like, the main aim of this game is to score goals. And they do it. But yet they still can't pull it all together.
Yeah, no, they cannot.
Yeah. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I think that's one of the best comment I've ever heard by the Canucks. Really.
It's going to be the title of Connor McDavid's autobiography.
Right. Moving into the 4th place team, down a spot, only 1 point behind the Oilers, is a Seattle Kraken. 65 points, 28, 22 and 9 record on a -6. They sit at 19th in our power rankings, and predominantly, I think, due to the staleness of the quality of the hockey they play. But they started out with 2 away games against the Stars, and then the Blues, losing 4-1 and 5-1 before getting a gimme in the Canucks, beating them 5-1 at home.
Yeah, they're mid, so mid, but they're mid, but they are a point behind the Oilers for 3rd spot in this division. So maybe that's a bit mean. I don't know. They're a reasonable hockey team, but goddamn, they are like one of the most boring teams in the league. It's really hard to like get up and get excited for this Seattle team. Like they got a 5-1 win against the Canucks to round out their games in this week for us, but I think me and you could go out and put a couple of goals on the Canucks with the way that they're playing at the moment.
Absolutely, even without skates on.
Yeah.
But we've got games against the Hurricanes, the Blues, and the Senators coming up. So I mean, this is a team that could very well make it into the playoffs. We might have to get used to accepting that as a fact. It might G them up, though. We'll see.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll touch on more of an exciting team. 5th place, San Jose Sharks, up a spot, 62 points. 18th in our power rankings. Record of 29, 25 and 4. Minus 23 plus minus. But yeah, they've certainly had an interesting week.
Yeah, certainly have. Lost to the Flames 4-1, beat the Oilers 5-4, and then a clutch victory against the Jets in overtime. Michael Misa's had his kind of coming out week this week with 2 goals and 2 assists for big number 77 there. So yeah, another young offensive stud on this San Jose team, but again, a team that kind of does struggle a bit defensively, which is kind of the story of this team. They will have to outscore a lot of teams quite heavily in order to to get to where they're going. Unless they add some kind of big defensive pieces, we'll see. They've got the Habs, the Blues, and the Islanders coming up, all at home. Definitely some points on the table. They're 4 points out of a playoff spot at the moment, so we'll see. But I think this team's a bit too defensively frail for me to be able to make a serious playoff push.
When you look at other teams in the league who are in a similar position to the Sharks, the reason why I like the Sharks more than anything, you listen to a broadcast for them, you watch one of their games, and the commentators who are obviously have to support and comment on this team playing 82 times in a year, do they show a single sign of frustration when they've conceded the fourth goal against the Oilers?
Not even one.
They are having so much fun, and there's so much joy around this team, and it's just such positive energy. So even if they don't make the playoffs, this is certainly a team maybe on the up, but it's just that they're out there having fun. Celebrating, he's got a smile on his face. He's doing spinoramas and firing pucks left, right, and centre at these different players. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it is just a high spirit team. And it's just fun to watch.
It is, and I don't wish I don't wish this on anyone, but just as like a hypothetical, it would be interesting to see how the vibes in San Jose shift if there was, God forbid, a long-term injury to Celebrini, because you take him out of that lineup and the quality of the team falls through the floor. So yeah, the vibes are good right now. They haven't really faced like a massive amount of adversity, I don't think. It's just been like the guys are coming in, the guys are good, the guys are scoring, happy days. And I think because the expectations of this team were as low as they were, they're just loving every second. But with success comes expectation, and when this team is expected to be in the playoffs and expected to be competing for the cup, and then they shell their fourth or fifth goal of the night, it'd be interesting to see how the how the commentators react to it then. But right now, they're incredibly entertaining and a good watch, and happy for them.
Watching them on TV in the ground, in the stadium and stuff, it just looked like they're playing it in like a fish tank or something. I know it sounds daft. I don't know whether it's just me, but the aura from that arena just gives it like a different vibe. But yeah, we'll move on into the next team, the sixth place team in this division, and we have already touched on them. They're down the spot. It's the Los Angeles Kings, 16th in our power rankings, 62 points, 24, 21, 14 record on a minus 22 goal differential. Predominantly, I think, from the 8-1 loss to the Oilers. But we already touched on the fact that they've changed their head coach. They didn't do it after that loss against the Oilers. They did it after the game against the Calgary Flames, where they won 2-0, which is baffling. But yeah, this is a team which could very quickly become in freefall.
Yeah, I mean, good for them to see Panarin hit the ground running. In LA, three assists in those 3 games. So good for him. Don't know if you saw as well. So Panarin's gone back to wearing the number 72 jersey, which is what he wore during his time in Chicago. It is also the number of their mascot. I want to say it's called Bailey. Now there is a bit of a hockey trend where if you want someone's jersey number, they have to be compensated for it. So Artemi Panarin has bought Bailey the mascot a Rolex to say thank you for allowing me to share your number. Which I'm sure the guy who is sat inside of the Bailey costume is absolutely thrilled. He has absolutely no choice over the number that his mascot is aligned, and he's banked a Rolex out of it. So happy days for him. Probably about the happiest thing to come out of LA, I think, this week. I'm not really sure. Again, as we touched on, not really sure what the deal is with the head coaching firing, but DJ Smith has the Colorado Avalanche in his first game to try and get his feet under the table.
Got no words. Absolute joke. Right.
Is it utter woke nonsense?
Utter woke nonsense. Who cares about? I don't know. Unless you bought a jersey, like, okay, I was trying to refrain it, but I can't. Okay, it happens where players change their numbers or things like that. So a team signs up. You see it in football all the time. A player leaves, and so therefore a player takes the other player's jersey number. But the thing is, fans will buy jerseys with the name and the number of previous, and you have to sort of work out how to compensate those fans who've just bought a jersey with the wrong number on it now. But that's one thing, and I can understand that. That's sensible, that makes sense. Who gives a fuck if the mascot has to change numbers? I bet an LA Kings fan doesn't know what number the mascot wears, and why is the mascot wearing the number in the first place? Right. Oh. Next.
Fuck Bailey.
Fuck. Just...
Oh, Christ. Honestly.
It stresses me out. Anyway, 7th place team in this division. Oh, great. We've got to go talk about the Calgary Flames and the Vancouver Canucks now. It just gets fucking better. 31st in our power rankings, 55 points, 24, 28, 7, with a minus 27.
They suck. No players at a point per game. 55 points, 7th place. The best thing that the Calgary Flames have going for them is that they're not the Vancouver Canucks. And I think the only relevance that we're going to see with Calgary over the next couple of weeks is who stays and who goes. I think we'll start to see some movements happen, and we'll go from there. But otherwise, nah.
Nope. What I will say about the Calgary Flames is they are now on the same amount of points as your Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, but the Chicago Blackhawks play in a significantly tougher division, I think.
I've got the bye.
That was a nibble at best.
Right, we'll touch on the Vancouver Canucks. 43 points. They're 12 points behind the Calgary Flames. 2 games, 2 losses. They went to overtime against the Jets and then lost against the Kraken. No players at point per game. Minus 66 differential. Marco Rossi is back playing again. Signing back Minnesota, please. But other than that, I got no comments about this team.
You said let's touch upon the Vancouver Canucks. Consider them touched.
Holy mackerel!
Oh, now we're going to talk about the play of the week. Okay. And there have been several good plays. I mean, lots of more games to talk about, but play of the week for me, Michael Misa. Now, let me frame this for you. Okay. So it's the 2026 Winter Olympics. We're in the final. It's Canada, USA. Game of the century. Okay. You got Canadiens fans, or more specifically Chicago Blackhawks fans, bitching about how Connor Bedard was not taken for this squad. Okay. And they're saying, if Bedard was playing in overtime, he might have scored and they might have won the whole tournament for them. Well, I put to you, Matt, it wasn't Connor Bedard they needed. It was Michael Misa. of the San Jose Sharks, who, in overtime, against the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg Jets, who are a bit of a poorer team than the American national team. However, Connor Hellebuck in goal. A goaltender the Canadiens could not get past. Michael Misa starts in his own zone, skates through defenders, sends Connor Hellebuck into the shadow realm, scores and wins the game. That's how you do it, Sunshine.
That is, yeah. Canadian Olympic GMs take note. It was great play. He kind of managed to stick handle his way through the final two defenders. It kind of maybe got a slither of luck in there. It did get like a bounce off a skate, but then just finished it past Hellebuck. Takes the OT win. Great play from Misa. Great win for the Sharks. Yeah, unbelievable. And, I think potentially when 2030 rolls around, I think Michael Misa is a name that we will probably hear a lot of in that conversation. I think there'll be a few more of those San Jose guys who will be repping their country at the next Olympic Games. I think obviously Celebrini will be back. Potentially Will Smith could be there with the Americans. Michael Misa could be there with the Canadians. William Eklund will probably be there with Sweden, I would have thought. Great play, and great commentary shout on the Holy Mackinac.
Holy Mackinac. Love that. Right, let's jump into the last division then.
Yeah, Atlantic Division, one team, second in our power rankings, first in the division. Tampa Bay Lightning, Nathaniel.
Yeah, sat on 80 points, 38, 16 and 4. I mean, they've had a rough start back to NHL action. They are now, I think, odds-on favourites to win the Stanley Cup for some reason, despite the fact they've lost 2 games this week. But they beat the Maple Leafs 4-2. They lost against the Hurricanes 5-4 and the Sabres 6-2. So, but I don't think there's any doubting that this team is still great. 2 losses doesn't change that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And they're an unreal team, and it was a close loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. Obviously, a bit of an unexpected loss, I think, to the Sabres. Massive plus though for Tampa is getting Braden Point back in that lineup, and he's come back in 3 goals, 2 assists in those 3 games. So he was a massive miss for them. Really good for them to get back in. But I love this Tampa team. Absolutely love them. Saw a hypothetical trade the other day that I wanted to save to raise with you, and I was saying, why don't the Tampa Bay Lightning send the Nashville Predators Oliver Bjorkstrand and a 2nd round pick in exchange for Steven Stamkos?
How about no?
The silence is deafening. That would be a turn up. I think maybe Steven Stamkos. I don't know how welcome he is in Tampa. I don't know, but
why would they want him back? They're doing so well without
playoff
him.
Push. But they're on the road for the next 4. They've got the Minnesota Wild coming up next. I think that's going to be a great game. Really, really looking forward to seeing that one. Then they've got the Jets, the Maple Leafs, and the Sabres again. So certainly look at some retribution against the Sabres there, I think. But yeah, this team still looking good, still playing good, and we'll see you in the playoffs, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, absolutely. Move on to the second place team in this division. Mind blown, Matt. The Canadiens, the Red Wings, and the Bruins have been fighting over this second spot all year. And now they've been dethroned by the New York, I think you said? Buffalo Sabres.
The edge of New York Buffalo Sabres. 76 points, up 2 spots, only 4 points behind the Tampa Bay Lightning. 35, 19, and 6 on the season with a plus 25 goal differential. 3 games played, 3 wins, all on the road. They've beat the Devils, they've beat the Panthers, and then beat the Tampa Bay Lightning, scoring 11 goals in those 3 games and conceding just the 5. Tage Thompson is an absolute god. Love this guy. I just think he's got a great head of hair. He's 6'6". He's quick. He just plays like an absolute monster out there. I love Tage Thompson.
He's a spider. There isn't many hockey players like Tage Thompson. You'll have plenty of like small little playmakers. You got plenty of big bruisers, but for the build and the skill set of Tage Thompson, you don't see many players like that.
No, I think the only player who I could maybe bring closest to him, just certainly in terms of like stature and skill set, is probably someone like Quinton Byfield. 6'5", again, big, powerful guy, quick skater, everything like that. But I mean, I'd still take Thompson every day of the week. But yeah, still no contract on the table for Alex Tuch. That's an interesting one. I think if they were ever going to try and get him tied into a new contract, that time is probably now, with how well they're playing. And yeah, I don't know. At this point, I know we've kind of spent 39 previous episodes shitting all over the Buffalo Sabres, but at this point, I'd be kind of sad for them if they lost Tuch.
Yeah. Oh, in general, I mean, this team started out rough, and we were piling on them and piling on them and piling on them, and then they started winning, and we're like, we're not falling for this. We see this every so often from this team, and they're not going to carry it on. And we're now in danger of having to eat our very words. And instead of a team fumbling a player contract and trade negotiations, there's might be a good chance of them that they actually know what they're doing now. It's been the longest streak of non-playoff hockey, might be at an end. And the fact that they'd be 6 points clear if they're in the Pacific Division is just enough for me to show that they're a force to be reckoned with now. We have to take them seriously now.
Yeah. And just as a little aside on the Alex Tuch point there, again, just seeing an article from Billy Hyan in the Sporting News, mentioning a conversation had with some points made by Elliot Friedman, who is like the certified GOAT of NHL inside information. Seemingly seems to be that Tuch's going to be staying put. Certainly at the as far as this season goes, trade deadline wise, Buffalo are going for it. They're not selling. Tuch's going to kind of play this season out, and maybe he re-signs with them after the end of the season. But certainly, I think for any Buffalo fans maybe concerned that he was going to be on the move in traditional Buffalo fashion, I think you can put your mind at ease there. I think he's certainly staying put to see how this run plays out.
Yeah. They got games against the Golden Knights, Penguins, Predators, and Lightning coming up. I mean, that game against the Lightning is going to be great. Yeah, obviously they beat them just now 6-2. We'll see how they're doing in the return. But yeah, I think we have to treat them seriously. And unlike teams like the St. Louis Blues and maybe teams like the New York Rangers, where I have a personal distaste to them because of their mentality, not to backtrack, and I might have to listen to previous podcasts to see what I said about this team, but the main gripe was that they were always poor. No matter what they did, they always made bad decisions, and they were just a perennial bad team. If they actually come and make the playoffs, I don't necessarily dislike them that much. I don't want them to win against my Wild or anything like that, but the pain suddenly dissipates a little bit.
Yeah, it does. It does. I can't knock that.
Yeah. Right. We'll move on to the third place team in this division, and down a place. It's the Montreal Canadiens, still sat on 75 points. 8th team in our power rankings, a record of 33, 17 and 9, plus 15 point differential. They lost the game in overtime to the New York Islanders, 4-3, and then comfortably beat the Washington Capitals 6-2. So, yeah, I think this is still a very good team.
Still a very good team. Just a little, still for me, a little problematic in the goaltending department. I think they've chopped and changed with Montembeault, Dobeš, and Fowler all season, and I still don't think that they know who their best goaltender is. It really wouldn't shock me.
It's not Montembeault.
No, I don't think it is. But I think with Montreal moving forward, I think that they will be certainly on the lookout for their sort of future goalie, because I think if they can get a really, really solid goaltender in, I think the dynamic of this team changes massively. And I know we've had conversations before about the potential of someone like Jesper Wallstedt being moved from from Minnesota. I think that Montreal that'd be a team I would personally love to see him in. And I also think that Montreal would have the
type of player we're looking at.
Yeah, they would have the guys to be able to, because they have a plethora of offensive talent. Even someone like Alex Newhook, for example. I really like Alex Newhook. He might not be necessarily he's not the A1 center that they need, but he could be like a really good 2C or a very, very good 3C on that Minnesota team. So if Montreal were to maybe package up like Alex Newhook plus, some picks.
I think they're trying to get rid of Patrick Lane as well.
Oh,
I think there's been rumours they might be cutting him.
Yeah, Laine's an interesting one because the talent there with him is absolutely undeniable. Like his ability to score goals in this league is just phenomenal. He's got such a good shot, and I'm pretty sure he's had like a 40-goal season previously. But it always comes back to his application, his ability to be engaged night in, night out, and he's just he's got a little bit of a flaccid mentality. Didn't really know how else to word that. He's
flaccid mentality.
Outside of calling him just like a straight up floppy cock, I didn't really have like anything else really to go with there. But yeah, scored 44 goals with the Winnipeg Jets. 36 goals, 44, 30, 28. And then in Columbus had 10 in 45, 26 in 56 with Columbus, 22 in 55 with Columbus. And then last season with Montreal had 33 points in 52 games. But again, it's just kind of it's the application, it's the off-ice stuff, it's how much he kind of gives a shit. 8.7 million against the cap as well. That's a pretty tough deal. Don't know when that contract's up though. Anyway, regardless, it's kind of getting sidetracked a little bit there, but I think if Montreal can sort themselves a solid goaltender moving forward, I think they're going to be a real force to be reckoned with years down the road, and I would love that to be Jesper Wallstedt for me.
Yeah. They go on the American road trip, the West Coast road trip, the Canadiens, the games against the Sharks, Ducks, and the Kings coming up. This arguably, competitively, is the best division in hockey. It's going to be really close going down to the wire, and it's sort of weeks like this, I think, when Montreal, and they're on the road for a significant amount of time against teams who they feel like they're sort of on a similar level to in terms of the Sharks and the Ducks. They're young, up-and-coming teams. They need to win these games to really push themselves forward.
Yeah, big time. Just sorry, just to come back to that. Sorry, I know I was kind of like derailed us before. Laine's contract up at the end of this season.
So a rental then you could retain. Montreal could retain,
and Alex Newhook, for what it's worth, makes 2.9 until the end of next season, where he's a restricted free agent.
Ooh. Interesting. We'll have to deep dive into some trade potentials before the deadline, potentially. Though it is just a wild goose shoot. Like, who knows who's going where? You can't predict these things generally.
No.
We'll go on to our fourth place team in this division, ninth in our power rankings. They're down a spot, 74 points, so they're very close. Record of 34, 20, and 6 on a -3 though. So the Detroit Red Wings, they beat the Senators in overtime 2-1, but then lost to the Hurricanes 5-2.
Yeah, they've they're in a little bit of a tough spot at the moment. Kind of partly, on one hand, I think due to the kind of rise of the Sabres, but Detroit were kind of right. They were out on top in this division, a couple of months back, and they've been a little bit sort of inconsistent. Obviously, they picked up the win against the Senators, lost to the Hurricanes. They're a good team. Dylan Larkin with 3 points in those two games. Sider and Raymond both with a couple each as well. Again, it's another team where goaltending's been just good enough to get them to where they are, but I don't think it's kind of sustainable for long-term success. They've got the Predators on the road coming up, the Golden Knights and the Panthers at home, and then the Devils on the road. So I do see them kind of getting some wins there, and I think it's gonna shape up really interestingly for these three teams: the Sabres, the Canadiens, and the Red Wings. Which two of those take those final two playoff spots in this division?
Yeah. I've been a bit down on them through this year. I always think this is a team that was going to be. I thought Tampa and Montreal were going to be up there, and then it's kind of come down between Detroit and Boston for the third spot. Obviously, Buffalo have got themselves involved now as well, and that's not even including the other teams in this division who you think might be able to make a comeback. So this is an extremely tough division. They've been gathering the points. You look at the season stats, so play Raymond's on 62 and 58, DeBrincat's 58 and 60, Larkin's 54 and 60, and even Sider's on 14 and 60. So again, a well-rounded roster who are doing well. I just don't think they've got that cutting edge for me for a deep push in the playoffs.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I would agree. I would agree there.
yeah. Speaking of the Boston Bruins, we'll touch on them now. They're 11th in our power rankings. 11th in our power rankings. And they're 5th in their division. They're on 71 points. They would still be winning the Pacific Division, which is just mental. But they've got a record of 33, 21, and 5 with a plus 13. They've split the two games they've played this week.
Yeah, they have, and yeah, they're yeah. I don't really know. Like, you can't help but feel like you can't count them out, and they're only 5 points, I think, off of the Buffalo Sabres, 4 points off of the Canadiens and the Red Wings. But I don't know. Like, we're coming into the last quarter of the season. Boston's Boston. Like, they're always going to be there or thereabouts, and I really don't know. They are a team who I could see making a really good sort of late season push. Obviously, having McAvoy back and fit and firing and everything is, and coming back from the Olympics unscathed is massive for them. Absolutely massive. But I just don't know. I really don't know with this team. They've got the Penguins, the Predators, the Capitals, and then the Penguins again coming up. So I think there'll be some great games against Pittsburgh. And then they'll be hoping that they can maybe beat the Predators and the Capitals, but just to kind of try and put them into a situation where it's going right down to the wire. And this division especially, I think, is going to be the most interesting with who takes those playoff spots.
Yeah. Because realistically, the 5th team in this division are fighting it out with the 4th team in the Metro for the second wildcard spot.
Yeah.
I know that it doesn't take exactly a master's degree to work that one out. But what that means is, in reality, when you're looking at the divisions where they are at the minute, it's Boston against the Capitals.
Yeah.
which team is better, which team deserves to be in the playoffs. As with the games next week, Boston have got 2 games against the Penguins and the Capitals. If they win those 3 games and send those teams in a tailspin, it makes things a lot easier for them. So I'm not going to go so far as to whoever wins between Boston and the Capitals will get in the playoffs, like my Kings Blues thing earlier on in the season. But it's getting into crunch time. I think the Capitals will have the edge over the Bruins in terms of playoff style hockey this year anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll move on then into the 6th place team. I think there's a bit of a gap now. 25th in our power rankings. The Ottawa Senators are in 6th in this division on 66 points. So still not doing too shabby. Record of 29, 22 and 8 on a +9.
Not too shabby in the grand scheme of things, but I think as we move into these final 3 teams, I think that they're potentially all done. Playoffs wise, it's kind of hard to see how they fight it back from this point.
Yeah, I mean they're 5 points behind. There's still plenty of hockey to be played. We've seen crazier things happen.
We have,
but I just think on track record of this year and what we've seen out of these next 3 teams, I'm inclined to think, they are done.
Yeah. I mean, the Ottawa Senators, 2 games played, an overtime loss against the Red Wings, and then beating the Maple Leafs 5-2. They've got the Oilers, the Flames, the Kraken, and the Canucks coming up on the road. So certainly 2 games in there which are distinctly winnable. Yeah, I don't know. I think at this point, like you said, we've seen crazy things happen, but I think based off of what we've seen this season, it's going to be really hard to see them making a late push.
They are the Columbus Blue Jackets of the Atlantic Division, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
They started off poorly. They're coming back a little bit. They're probably better than where they were at, but just due to circumstances of the season, they're probably not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then we get into the bottom 2 teams of this division. They're both on 63 points. 20 points ahead of the Canucks. But but first up, we got 7th place, Florida Panthers. 30, 27 and 3, -15. They beat the other team. We're going to talk about the Maple Leafs 5-1, but then lost against the Sabres 3-2 and the Islanders 5-4. So, again, it's the story of the season. They're just missing out, really, because of close games like this. And the playoff style of hockey that they play isn't good for regular season.
And they have won more games than the Vegas Golden Knights, who lead their division. 30 wins for Florida, 28 for... But it's then again, all comes back down to the losers' points. Florida have only picked up 3 OT losses all season, whilst I think Vegas had an absolute shit ton. So, they beat the Maple Leafs, lost to the Sabres, lost to the Islanders. It's a year off for them. Don't see them blowing anything up. Don't see them adding too much. I think they'll run it back again next year with a rejuvenated and refreshed team that's had an extended period of time for everyone to get healthy. They'll have Barkov back. And I think we'll see a very different Florida team next year. They continue their road trip. They have the Devils, the Blue Jackets, and the Red Wings coming up. So some points on offer for sure. But yeah, not their year this year. But I think they'll be back.
Yeah. Bobrovsky having a sneaky poor year.
Yeah,
also.
A little bit of a down year for him. But I think that's maybe a product of the rest of the team as well. I think when the whole team is on a bit of a down year, I think the goaltender will naturally have that as well. It's not going to get bailed out kind of repeatedly. So yeah, I think it kind of all correlates to just like an off year for them as a whole. But yeah, I'm just excited to see Florida come back next year. I think and try and go again.
Yeah. And that leads us on to our last team of our rundown. and it is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Were we too kind in giving them our 21st spot in our power rankings?
Yeah, probably. Probably. I think, just scrolling back through, I think they are the only team in the NHL who have lost all the games they've played, whether it be 3 games or 2 games. The only team to have lost all of their games in regulation. So not a single point picked up. Yeah, nothing so far. Nothing so far.
No, I think you're right.
No. Yep. So, yeah, poor from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and a goal and 2 assists from Nylander, 3 assists from Matthews. Doesn't really matter. They've lost to the Lightning, the Panthers, and the Senators. They've got the Flyers coming up, the Devils and the Rangers on the road, and then the Lightning again. But this summer in Toronto is going to be very interesting indeed. Very interesting. Because Toronto won't want this again. Can't have this again. They are, one of the biggest franchises in the league, so they say. And, they need to be playing playoff hockey, and they're not going to be doing that this year.
No, they are not. And they've got no excuses, really. And the goaltending is poor, but not horrendous. They've got the star players, they've got their squad. I don't understand it. It's what excuse are they going to run out this time, or what are they going to do to fix it?
Well, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Absolute mess. But that is it. That is all 32 teams run down on our very first video format. So we've stared in front of this camera for almost 2 hours now, haven't we, Matt?
Yes.
Haven't blinked once. We'll quickly cover off the point scorers of the week and the season. Yeah, and then we'll have you sign us out, Matt.
Yeah.
Top points of the week shared between Matt Baldy, yes, and Conor McDavid with 7 points. But most interestingly, top goal scorer of the week is Matty Schaefer.
Yeah, I love that for him. Love that for him.
Fantastic. And then the Penalty Box Perspective Award for the most penalty minutes is Corey Perry with 17. He probably just in that 8-1 loss, he probably just lost a lot, didn't he?
In typical Corey Perry fashion. So that leads with the season. McDavid out ahead on the points with 103. McKinnon slightly behind him on 97 there, with Nikita Kucherov on 95. With McKinnon leading the race on the goals with 40. With McDavid, Caulfield and Boldy all on 35 apiece. Nikita Zadorov still leads the Penalty Box Perspective Award with 125 penalty minutes on the season, with Kostelic on 108 and Arber Xhekaj on 104. So Zadorov still with a healthy lead there in the Penalty Box Perspective Award for most penalty minutes on the year. Anything else further from yourself, Nathaniel, before we go?
Well, all up to you to sign us out.
Okay, so you can find us, guys, on X and Instagram at the PBP Podcast. You can also find us on TikTok at the Penalty Box Perspective. No, Penalty Box Perspective on TikTok. You can also get in touch with us on Gmail at penaltyboxperspective@gmail.com if you've got any thoughts or feelings on the show, anything you want to let us know about. You can also find us on YouTube at the Penalty Box Perspective if you want to go like, subscribe there as well. And please contemplate giving us a 5-star review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps us push the podcast further into the eardrums and also the faces of people looking for NHL coverage from the perspective of 2 UK fans. As always, guys, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Great job, buddy.